Have you ever wondered about the fascinating stories of territories and their ownerships? Ever heard of the provocative claim that Hainan, an island of China, actually belongs to the Philippines? Indeed, it's a curious assertion that has been making the rounds. This claim, like many others, has its roots in history, culture, and the age-old human instinct to lay claim to lands. It's an intriguing tale, one that takes us back to the annals of history, to a time when borders were fluid and territorial ownership was a concept as changeable as the winds of the sea. Now, let's take a moment to think about how such claims can come to be. Imagine a time before modern maps and GPS, when the world was a vast, uncharted expanse. People moved, settled, and moved again. Over time, these transient communities left their imprints on the lands they touched, shaping cultures, traditions, and even the very identity of these places. Hence, it's plausible that the Philippines, with its seafaring history, might have had settlers in Hainan at some point. But then again, so might have other cultures and societies. So, does that mean Hainan belongs to the Philippines? Or does it belong to its current sovereign state, China? Or perhaps it belongs to a completely different entity altogether? These questions might seem simple on the surface, but they are deeply complex. The concept of territorial ownership is a layered one, constantly evolving throughout history. What was once a straightforward notion, perhaps based on conquest or settlement, has now become a tangled web of historical rights, international laws, and diplomatic negotiations. As we delve deeper into this intriguing claim, prepare to uncover layers of history, migration, and cultural exchanges. There's a story waiting to be told, a story that could change how we view borders and ownership, a story that could challenge our understanding of the world. And remember, this is just the beginning. There's more to this tale than meets the eye, and we're just getting started. So sit back, relax, and get ready for a journey into the past. A journey that will redefine the present and perhaps even the future. As we delve deeper into this intriguing claim, prepare to uncover layers of history, migration, and cultural exchanges. How could an island that is currently a part of China be connected to the Philippines, you might ask? Well, let's delve into the annals of history and explore the fascinating migration patterns that could have led Filipinos to Hainan. It's no secret that humans have been migratory beings for most of our existence. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors traversed vast oceans and uncharted territories in search of better living conditions, resources, and opportunities. The Filipinos were no exception. Historical records suggest that they were seafaring people, known for their remarkable navigational skills and adventurous spirit. As a result, it's plausible that they might have journeyed to Hainan, an island not too far from the Philippines. Now, let's discuss the cultural exchanges that took place between these two places. It's been said that trade and cultural exchange are the lifeblood of civilization. Indeed, the Philippines and Hainan enjoyed a vibrant exchange of goods, ideas, and traditions. From Chinese silk, porcelain, and tea to Filipino timber, gold, and spices, the wealth of resources exchanged was immense. These interactions didn't just foster economic ties, but also led to a shared cultural heritage, making the bond between the two places stronger. Moreover, intermarriages between the locals were not uncommon, leading to a blending of cultures and traditions. This fusion of cultures is evident in the culinary, linguistic, and artistic expressions of both regions. It's not hard to see why some Filipinos feel a deep sense of connection to Hainan. While these historical connections are clear, does that validate the claim of ownership? Well, that's an entirely different ballgame. The lines between historical connections and rightful ownership can often blur, leading to complex debates and discussions. But before we delve into that, let's first understand the Chinese perspective on this intriguing claim in our next chapter. How does China view these claims, and what is the historical context from their side? Let's delve into the Chinese perspective. China views Hainan as an integral part of its territory, a stance rooted in a deep-seated historical connection that spans thousands of years. The first recorded mention of Hainan dates back to the ancient Chinese texts of the Qin dynasty, around 200 years before Christ. Since then, Hainan has been an important part of the Chinese socio-political fabric, serving as a trading hub, a military outpost, and a place of exile for dissidents. Now, what about the Filipino settlement claims? It's worth noting that China, a nation proud of its rich history, acknowledges the presence of Filipinos on the island. However, they interpret it differently. The Chinese historical narrative views these Filipinos not as settlers, but as visitors, traders, or perhaps temporary inhabitants. This interpretation is based on the premise that the establishment of a settlement does not necessarily equate to ownership. Throughout history, geographical boundaries have often been porous, with people from one region moving to another for trade, exploration, or even refuge. The Chinese argue that the Filipino presence on Hainan was in the same vein and not an assertion of sovereignty. On the legal and political front, China firmly stands by its sovereignty over Hainan. International law, particularly the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, is often invoked to support their claims. Furthermore, China's political clout and economic influence on the global stage play a significant role in bolstering its stance. Yet it's important to remember that history is often a matter of interpretation, and the Chinese narrative is but one side of the story. The Filipino claims introduce a layer of complexity to this issue, offering a different lens through which to view the history of Hainan. While the Chinese perspective offers another facet to this intriguing claim, the question remains: who does Hainan truly belong to? So, who does Hainan truly belong to? Can we ever find a definitive answer? Territorial claims have always been a complex matter, often entwined with historical narratives, cultural identities, and political dynamics. The claim of Hainan being an old Filipino settlement is just one of many such intricate issues. To begin with, we have historical evidence. Records and artifacts can provide a tangible link to the past, telling stories of who lived where and when. In the case of Hainan, evidence of Filipino settlement could potentially strengthen the Philippine claim. However, history is often subjective and open to interpretation. What may seem like concrete proof to some might be dismissed as irrelevant by others. Next, we have cultural ties. Communities often feel a deep connection to places where their ancestors lived or where their cultural practices originated. This emotional bond can fuel territorial claims, as it does for some Filipinos towards Hainan. Yet cultural ties can be complex, overlapping, and evolving, making them a tricky basis for territorial rights. Then there's the sphere of politics. The world of geopolitics is a chessboard of power, with nations often asserting territorial claims as strategic moves. In the case of Hainan, geopolitical considerations undoubtedly come into play. But how does international law view such claims? International law primarily recognizes sovereignty based on effective control. In other words, who actually exercises authority over the territory in question. In this context, it's important to note that Hainan has been under Chinese administration for many years. So, while it's fascinating to delve into the historical and cultural ties between the Philippines and Hainan, the reality of international law and politics complicates the issue. The question of Hainan's sovereignty is not just about who was there first, but also about who has maintained effective control over the island. While the claim of Hainan belonging to the Philippines is intriguing, it's clear that the truth is much more complex. As we wrap up, it's clear that the story of Hainan is one of fascinating historical exchanges and complex political dynamics. This journey has taken us through the intriguing claim that Hainan, an island off the southern coast of China, was once a settlement of Filipinos. We've explored the Filipino Connection, tracing the threads of history and culture that bind the people of the Philippines to this island. We delved into the rich tapestry of migration patterns, shared traditions, and common linguistic roots that suggest a deep-seated bond between the inhabitants of Hainan and the Philippines. We then ventured into the Chinese perspective, which offers a different narrative. China's claim to Hainan is steeped in its own historical records and geopolitical considerations. The island has long been an integral part of China's territorial identity and strategic interests. In our quest to unravel the truth, we discovered that the issue isn't as clear-cut as it might seem. The historical narrative is nuanced and multi-layered, with elements of truth in both the Filipino and Chinese perspectives. It's a testament to the complexity of history and the influence it has on present-day territorial claims. The story of Hainan serves as a reminder that history is not merely a chronicle of events. It's a dynamic and ever-evolving narrative that shapes the world we live in. It informs our understanding of geographical boundaries and influences the way nations perceive their rights and responsibilities. As we navigate the complexities of the modern world, it's essential to remember that our present and future are deeply rooted in our past. The more we understand about our history, the better equipped we are to engage in meaningful dialogues and make informed decisions. So let's continue to delve into the intriguing stories that history has to offer. Let's keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep wondering. As we unravel these narratives, we learn more about ourselves and the world around us. Remember, history is not just about the past. It shapes our present and our future, so keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep wondering. Don't forget to subscribe for more intriguing content. Don't miss out on future explorations and discoveries. Hit subscribe and ring the bell to stay updated with our new content. Your journey of wonder continues with every video. Stay connected and engaged on social media. Continue the conversation, follow us. Thank you for being a part of the Have You Ever Wondered community. Keep wondering, keep discovering. Until next time.